But what we do for the trophy race, which is now sponsored by Gulf Western Oil as well, is we take the top half of the field, reverse them, send them to the back. They've got to work from this. We get some new names at the front of the field.
Which is a guaranteed recipe for excitement. You're looking at the new VB Commodore of Jared McLeod. He's debuting this car this weekend, and earlier we caught up with him.
This is the story of a passionate Holden Commodore fan and Jared McLeod. A bit of a story behind here to get this on the grid, this VC Commodore.
Yeah, well, it was 12 months ago today, last year that I was here, and they announced that you could run the Commodore in 2020. So I went out and found the best car I could, a one-owner car from Daylesford in Victoria, and it's been a really, really long year designing and building this car, but it's with a lot of passion that we did it, you know, and we're really happy with the end result, and we're happy that we're the first one to debut a Commodore in TCM, and we're quite proud of that, and yeah, hopefully we have a good weekend.
So where does the love for that brand come from, and this particular model?
Well, my father raced in the 80s in Australian Touring Car Championships, and he raced for about 5 or 6 years in Commodores, and the livery that we have on today is a tribute livery, same colours as he ran in 1986 at Bathurst in the Australian Touring Car Championship, and just a very iconic car, the Commodore, and I've always loved the shape, and I contacted the category 3 or 4 years ago and said, if a Commodore is able to be built, I will build the first one, and I'm glad that that came to fruition.
What are the fast bits and the cool stuff you're most proud of?
Well, the car runs the 6-litre TCM category spec engine, so it's a nominal engine that can go in any car, and so that's quite unique. It doesn't have a 308 Holden in it like a normal VB Commodore would have, or a Chev. It's got some really good NASCAR brakes, NASCAR gearbox, and a lot of things we imported from overseas, and had to do a lot of research to make sure that the car was going to be as as well built and as strong and reliable as we can, because if you don't finish races, you're never going to win it. So we want it to be just a nice, simple, well-built, reliable car for the category.
It's a guy that absolutely loves his motor racing, does anything to be involved, and Jared McLeod has built this car over the last 12 months. It's here on the streets of Adelaide, a new generation of Gulf Western Oil's Touring Car Masters cars. A little bit of smoke from underneath. I hope that clears before we get around for the rolling start here in just a few moments' time. Well, the car coming into the shot now, car 17 is also making its debut, but it wasn't the greatest run, Andy Jones, who's down there in the pits right now with Dick Johnson.
No, it wasn't a great run yesterday, was it, Dick? Unfortunately, mechanical gremlins have crept into this beautiful XD. Can you just elaborate on what the dramas were?
Well, it's nothing really that's been detrimental at all. It's just the fact that it had a Detroit locker diff in it, and it was locking and unlocking at the wrong time, and the last thing I want this thing is hanging off a fence, so we decided to sort of call it quits during quali, and we pulled it apart, and I took out a little ring in the middle of the Detroit locker, which makes it into a spool, so it should be fine.
Some handy work from Dick Johnson there. Good mechanic to have in Stevie's corner. Thanks, Dick.
It's all the old-fashioned stuff, mate.
Never holds back, does he, with a comment?
It's the same stuff he's been doing for 40 years,
yes.
Isn't it? Dick Johnson Racing celebrating its 40th anniversary officially this year. It's fantastic. It's so cool that he gets on the tools, and they have poured hours and hours and hours into the build of this car, and qualifying didn't go to plan. This race, it'll be a testing process for them today. I don't think they're going to push too hard in the trophy race, but from the back of the field a little bit later on, he'll be working his way through the field and having a proper go. It's the best way to test.
Well, it started back in season 2007, and today it's 100 rounds old. The Gulf Western Oil's Touring Car Masters trophy race. We flipped the top 50 from qualifying, send them to the back, giving us Jason Gomersall with pole position. Dean Lilly will start alongside him. Cam Mason and Paul Freestone will be on the second row, but it's the guys down at rows 6, 7 and 8 we need to keep an eye on. Our pole man starting from 19th on the grid here today. There's starting points and finishing points. It doesn't really affect the championship as such, but it really then takes the pressure off for the weekend, if there is any such word.
These races are cool, aren't they? We've had a lot of fun over the last couple of years with Gulf Western Oil TCM trophy races. Some new names and faces at the front of the field. Jason Gomersall, he's been at the front of the field before, and remember last year, finally, after years of trying, broke through for his first ever race victory. Actually, it was 2018 at Symmons Plains Raceway. Alongside him, Dean Lilly, who grabbed a win at Sandown not that long ago either. This is going to be a wild one.
First race of the weekend here at the Superloop Adelaide 500. Let's go 4 wide for the minor positions. Tirana side by side. Across the curbs goes Dean Lilly. Snaps sideways in the R&J Batteries entries. We sweep through turn 3. And up way Johnson's made up a few positions already, but the Tiranas locking out first and second. Here comes Pollicina down the inside of Andrew Fisher, and Paul Freestone taking Jeremy Gray for a ride along as well.
Yeah, Andrew Fisher thought he'd be pretty conservative in the opening couple of laps. They've been battling some power steering issues on the Jesus Racing GTHO. That's John Bowe looking around the outside of Adam Garwood. The staircase in the run-up into turn 6. Does he get past? Don't think he does. In fact, he lost a spot there to Leighton Barker in the other GTHO in the field. That's the ex-Aaron McGill car, still owned by Aaron. Leighton's jumped into it for this weekend. Clean opening lap so far, everyone through, but Fisher's just jumped out of it. I think that's strategic. He's testing some new bits in the front of that car in this race and getting it right for later on.
Mason just pulls up in time. He's almost letting the back going before the front in the turn 9 region of the circuit. This McLeod going for the shot. Freestone back to Jeremy Gray. And the rest of the field past the Shannon's wall can here on lap number 1. We're in for a magic day here, Kralsey, weather-wise. We had 22 degrees ambient yesterday. Great for qualifying. The clouds are breaking away. That's a classic Adelaide Friday.
That was Cam Mason getting into turn 9. The rear's locked up, sliding round, trying to slice the Alan Moffat tribute Ford Mustang that made its debut at Queensland Raceway last year, down the inside of a couple of Holden Tiranas. Jeremy Gray, Bilstein sponsored Ford Capri Piranha peels off into pit lane as well from inside the top 10. So that's a shame for Gero, was having a good run in this race. So Tiranas 1, 3, 4, and in the mix is Cam Mason. This car on debut at Queensland last year was spectacular. It won at Sydney Motorsport Park in the trophy race, and the Nova Castran, who's so proud of that part of the world and representing it in their racing, is doing a really nice job. And that's the Brute 33 tribute car to one of the greats of Australian motorsport in Alan Moffat, and it's going real well.
Just down here having a look at Jeremy Gray's entry, and unfortunately, boys, looks like the same issue as yesterday. The fan belt has come off the front of the engine and water is just pouring out of the overflow. So that looks like race over for Jeremy Gray.
Now the car he goes. This is Pollicina down the inside. Is there going to be enough room? Oh, just.
It's so dirty offline.
He pulled that car up.
That's 2 laps in a row that it's been a big dive down the inside, and they're all struggling with grip and trying to get the car stopped. But both times they've been able to make it work and get the thing turned in. That was a huge move. He felt like he came from a long way back, Jim Pollicina, but somehow made it work. And he's the man on the move. Gomesel's back to 4th, Pollicina to 3rd. What a big move.
It's incredible. So down the main straight here at Adelaide we go. Start the 3rd lap. It's Lilly from Mason, Pollicina, Gomesel and Freestone underneath the Superloop Bridge and into the centre chicane. 10 laps is this distance. They're starting to spread out a bit already. Keep an eye on the likes of Bowe. He's up into 6th position now. Ryan Hansford runs in 11th. There he is in the multi-spares Tirana, the yellow and blue car, with his teammate Raul Harris just behind.
Cameron Tilley just goes through a shot. They had the gearbox out of the Pacer last night. Rear seal on that car popped out in qualifying, so it was spraying oil everywhere. They're really happy with their performance, and they go from 6th place in the championship race a little bit later on this afternoon. We just saw John Bowe coming through shot. 99 career race wins in TCM to his credit. He's 6th. He's doing what he always does, Matt, in these races, which is carving his way through the field.
Exactly.
And working his way into contention.
Now we saw smoke from the 50 on the formation lap, and it looks like it's slowing this car down. It's a shame for Jared McLeod. It's its new first run in Touring Car Masters competition. So we take a look at the replay at the start. Now, what's behind the first couple of rows here? Because they were 3 and possibly 4 wide on the way down to the centre chicane. In fact, they were 4 wide for a split second.
Matt, I reckon Paul Freestone missed the 1st to 2nd gear shift, or 2nd to 3rd, because it launched initially. That's the dark maroony coloured with white striped 69 Chevy Camaro. I reckon he got to a gear, it didn't engage, and he went backwards, and the field split all around him. This is Johnson. And yeah, they're 4 and almost 5 wide in front. It's pretty hairy.
See how early Johnson was. He was on the brakes well and truly before the bridge. He does not want to affect this car in any way on its maiden run in Touring Car Masters competition. Lilly was lucky to pull this car up in the centre chicane. Semi-cold Who's Your Tyres and ran across the chicane. And Gomesel read this play very well. Busy behind him, wasn't it?
How much air did Dean Lilly get in the R&J Batteries car? Ravage Raceworks, sister car to Jim Pollicina's entry, so both cars going very nicely. In fact, they're 1st and 2nd at the moment. Turn 1 at this place. Now, this is the move we saw on board with Pollicina. So sent it down the inside, got to the dirty side of the road, and the car was squabbling for grip. Couldn't get it stopped. This is the view. Look, just have a listen to this as he gets to the brake pedal. Wow. That was so close to A, an accident, B, ending up the other side of Fullerton Road, down past the old Victoria Park Racecourse grandstand. C, I don't know what else would have happened there, but somehow got it stopped and turned. And it's given his teammate a bit of a free kick as well, because Lily's now got 1.8 seconds up the road. So we get to almost the halfway point of the race.
Bright yellow sticker on the dash next time. This is the trophy race.
Yes, there's still 3 races to go later in the weekend.
This is not Sunday. Back into the racecourse section of the Adelaide Street Circuit with Stephen Johnson. He moves his way through the field now, past Leo Tobin, and up towards the top, the turn 14 hairpin. Dean Lilly has 1.2 seconds on Jim Pollicina. This is the trophy race. If you joined us for qualifying yesterday and wondering why there's some different names at the top, we send the top 50 from qualifying to the back of the field. You get starting points and finishing points for this race.
John Bowes just smashed the lap record. He's taken a second out of Stephen Johnson's old benchmark. So car 18 flying, 1:27.82. And he's just got himself up to 4th place. This is a really exciting little battle pack, and Johnson just going up the inside of Burnett at turn 4. So he's worked his way into the top 10. This is an important race for Team Johnson because it's the first opportunity they get to see what the XD Falcon can do in racing conditions. Only got 2 laps in qualifying, got half a dozen in the practice session earlier in the weekend. So it's vital that they get through this lap, get all the laps completed in this, pass some cars, see what the temperatures do, and just tick another box in the development of that brand new car.
This was the move by Pollicina. He's up into 2nd position. A drag race down the Barry Sheen pit straight here at Adelaide. That would have been dead even at the finish line if we saw the splits, but he got 2nd done, only just. Mason had to let him go. In fact, Pollicina had to run wide across the chicane there to avoid any contact.
But do you know what? Great driving from both, because Mason saw that Jim was committed around the outside and let him go. Pollicina left a bit more room on the inside, went across the curb. That's great heads-up racing from both of those guys, and probably saved a couple of cars, or at least some contact or some more drama.
Meantime, back in the field, this is 13th and 14th on the circuit. Bressington and Cameron Tilley chasing Leo Tobin just ahead. Well, Ryan Hansen sets his fastest lap of the race. We've got 3 cars under the previous lap record. And no surprise, given the ambient temperature this year is about half of what it was last year.
Adam Garwood's doing a super job cutting his way through the field too. He's up to 7th. This is his teammate Adam Bressington in 95. Oh, Roll Harris from 8th up the road in Wakefield Street. The top of turn 4. Yesterday, this car was ugly under brakes up there. It was bouncing around on the rear axle as he was trying to get it slowed down. He and Cameron Tilley were running line astern. Is that the same thing that's happened? You can see where the bumps are on the road. It is. They've unloaded the EFS Camaro, grabbed the inside front brake, the right-hand side, and sent it skating up the road. Nice flick spin, though. Points for that.
Very impressive. Stalled it for a moment, got it fired, but has dropped down a few positions in this race. Meantime, Pollicina still reigning 2nd place. Dean Lilly's about to respond with his fastest lap of the race. The new record, incidentally, John Bowe, who's up into 4th place, 1:27.829 in the closing stages of the trophy race, the first race of the 100th round of the Gulf Western Oils Touring Car Masters here on the streets of Adelaide.
So 4 to go. John Bowe's up to 4th, 3 seconds behind the leader. Now trying to work his way through Cameron Mason. Dean Lilly's got great speed, though, and his car's very good in the first sector especially, which is where we are now, running up to turn 4 in the staircase sequence of right, then left, then right, again up East Terrace. How about Bowe? Just ran the outside, Matt.
That was different. I was waiting to see if he'd spin on the dirty stuff, but he's made it work, and now gets him up into 3rd position from outside the top 10, pretty much to the bottom of the top 20, and Bowe on the move. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Where's the passing points of this race?
I'll bring it up at the next board meeting. We'll try and get that in. Great bit of racing. Mason trying to fight back, but Bowe is now 3rd.
Boys, unfortunately, Jared McLeod, that beautiful BC Commodore, has dropped fuel pressure. So they're in the pit lane at the moment, trying to diagnose that, seeing if they can get it fixed. But all the rush has turned to a bit of calmness here. So I'd say he's going to finish the rest of this race just sitting in the lane.
And when You talked about the other day, Krales, in this car would turn a whisker over 6 kilometres in real life. These problems are always going to pop up in real life racing.
Now, this is an interesting little scenario. So these are teammates first and second, but they're squabbling for the lead. And once again, Pollicina goes very, very late. Dean Lilly, who's technically got the boss behind him, opens the door a little bit. Their biggest problem is the car behind, John Bowe. These two need to work together. They need to find a way to keep car 18 behind them and try and win this race. Doesn't matter which team car, as long as one of them does it. But Bowie could gobble them both up in no amount of time.
There he is. You sure they haven't swapped cars? Because that was very John Bowe-esque on the way to turn 14. Parked it down the middle. And now it's 3 Tiranas and Cameron Mason all arguing over, and Jason Gomersall all covered by 2 seconds with 3 laps remaining. They climb the staircase, Lilly under siege, but keep an eye on the Painter Dixon, number 18 of John Bowe.
Gee, Lilly's car's power down is very good. It's getting out of the slow speed corners well. And it might save him in this race. Through Sector 1, he's been fastest consistently throughout this race, and it's just allowing him to gap Pollicina a little bit. Jim, meanwhile, very brave, under braking. We've seen him make some big moves in this race so far. Turn 8, Tirana, 1, 2 and 3, and then that beautiful Ford Mustang of Cameron Mason, who's doing a superb job. He's a massively underrated driver, Cameron Mason, who had his career verged a slightly different direction, could have been in a supercar and done a really nice job. Second gen racer, his dad won this championship in 2007, 99 odd rounds ago.
And won the first round here, that very first day. Some 13 years to go. Again, Lilly opens the doors. Enough for Pollicina. He has to climb the curb, and you watch Bowe drive it around the outside here. He's got time on his side. And we start another lap. They're closer than ever. 1.8 seconds at the line, covering 5 cars. This is awesome, and it's only the trophy race.
Sets the scene, doesn't it, when we go championship point racing a little bit later on this afternoon. Dean Lilly getting out of slow corners so well, and it could win him this race. If he can get that drive out of A, the centre chicane, B, the final corner in that drag race to the start-finish line, he's going to be in really good shape. And now he just needs Jim Pollicina to do him a real solid here and bottle up John Bowe for one more lap. Keep the 5-time champion, 99 times a race winner in this category alone. Forget about supercars and Bathurst and the Gold Star in the 1980s. Keep him behind for a couple more laps. A couple more corners in the context of this race.
Through turn 8, so Lilly has got a bit of a margin. Only 0.8 of a second, but it's more than he's had for the last couple of laps. But John Bowe puts it to the inside and the turn 9 hairpin. So the Painter Dixon Tirana makes the move up into second position. Pollicina hasn't given up. He'll have to slide back in behind the number 18. It'll be 1 lap to go. Next time by. Do you have that feeling?
Yeah. This has happened before, and it will happen again. A bit of a last lap special from the Hall of Famer. Dean Lilly, 1 Touring Car Masters race win to his credit from just 10 race starts. So his strike rate's actually not that bad. It came in a trophy race at Sandown in the rain in 2018. And this was the move. Textbook stuff down at the end of Brabham Straight.
Pollicina could see him in the mirrors, let him go. But he's got 3.2 kilometres to chase him out. He's already on the back of Dean Lilly on this, the final lap. So you'd think the run to turn number 9 with some lap cars ahead. It's Jeremy Gray who's back on the circuit, which is good to see. He'll move out the way, but Bowe will set him up. It's going to be the run out of turn 7 and the exit out of turn 8 that'll execute this pass. Yeah,
he's going to have to block like he's never blocked before, Dean Lilly, on the run into the hairpin and try and use that good power down that the R&J Batteries car's got to keep the Painter Dixon car behind him. We're at Tirana Cup at the front of this field at the moment, isn't it? 4 in the top 5. The hatchback is the last of them. It's the sedans, the older model car, doing the nice job. A bit of a slide there for Lilly coming out of turn 8 and instantly parked his car in the middle of the road. He's done a really nice job there.
It's fitting if you're using your cricket expressions that there's a Lilly leading the race here. If he's blocking, we better call him Booney. Through the backside of the circuit we go. Just a handful of turns. A slight mistake from Lilly. Bowe all over him on the run to the final turn here. The trophy race, as it's done for so many years. has turned it on here in Adelaide. Lilly parks in the middle again. Bow tries to drive around the outside. Great racing from this too. As they come through to take the checkered flag in race number 1. It's a car length and give it to Dean Lilly in the trophy race here at Adelaide.
Great stuff. Really good driving. Dean Lilly to cover his line down into the final corner. It was all turn 9 though. It was that power down out of the corner. Was able to cover his line enough to get a good run out of there and into the permanent section of this amazing street circuit, and then just put his car on the inside line and knew that he'd be able to get the drive off the final corner to hold on. Second TCM race win, held out the master. What a performance, Dean Lilly. Jim Pollicina ends up third. That's a great drive in its own right. And Cameron Mason, bit of an unheralded drive to 4th place in that, right in the thick of the battle pack. Top 5 cars covered by 1.6 seconds, Matt.
And a further 9 seconds back to Garwood. 0.1 of a second between Lilly and Bow, who's still 99 not out in his Touring Car Masters career. Pollicina third, Mason, Gomersall, Garwood, Hansford from the back to 7th. Johnson inside the top 10 as well with Adam Bressington.
What a cool motor race. That's race 1 of 30-odd race championship we've got coming up, Matt. We go championship point racing a little bit later on this afternoon. Watch out for Royal Harris. Watch out for Cameron Tilley. Marcus Sikanovic has been super all weekend long. That XD Falcon is going along very nicely. So when we get to the first full championship race a little bit later on this afternoon, I think the stakes will go up even more, and we could see something even more special than that.
Well, the fans liked it, and so did we. The Gulf Western Oil's 100th round of the Touring Car Masters got underway with a trophy race. They were 4 wide on the charge down pit straight. Lilly Boulder wide here into turn number 1, but from that point, he was under siege from the entire field.
Launched the thing into the air over the centre chicane, but got away with that one with Jason Gomersall just in behind in 2nd place. And that's the run through turn 1. This was one of a series of almost accidents, I suppose you could say, at turn 9. With Cameron Mason and then Jim Pollicina locked the rear brakes, the dirty side of the road, trying to find some grip and get their cars slowed up. And then this battle pack builds and built. Pollicina went round the outside of the centre chicane and grabbed 2nd place. A good bit of racing. Meanwhile, Stephen Johnson, who raced his way to 9th at the end of that, was making some moves. And he got down the inside of Cameron Tilley and indeed Leo Tobin. One foul swoop, a nice bit of driving down at turn 9.
This was later in the race when Johnson moved his way up inside the top 10 in 9th. And Bow, this was his charge past Cameron Mason to get himself into 3rd. And within a lap, he was on the back of Pollicina just ahead.
You just never rule him out of one of these races. It doesn't matter where he starts. It doesn't matter what happens in the opening couple of laps. Car 18 will always find his way there. And he's 99 not out in TCM racing. And he gave that one everything. He fell short by 0.1 of a second. Well done, Dean Lilly, who grabs his 2nd ever race win in just race number 11 in a short TCM career. That was one of the more entertaining races we've seen in the category's 100 rounds so far.